My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system, which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. Pay attention to where the entity is targeting. P.O.C. This is the Ontario police that are going to prison for repeated kidnappings. This is engineered light where they're targeting. That's a demon, and they're specifically stalking using a helicopter, which is an incredible means of stalking, and they're flying over the top of my head again, targeting where I'm at, and I am simultaneously uploading evidence onto the internet And this is the criminal conduct that the Ontario Board and the Ontario Executive Team shares in: surveillance, stalking, psychological torture, harassment with planes and helicopters by the City of Ontario engaging in surveillance. And this is also committed in furtherance of what is the intent to obstruct justice. As I begin uploading, the entity starts stalking and harassing with helicopter activity. Crossing path, license plate, 7RPE 407, that's light activity. Pay attention to my shadows here. They're stalking and maintaining activity creation on behalf of the demon that just flew over my head in a helicopter for the 4th time. Flying over me, flying in a circle while I'm over there on the opposite side of the street, and QCD is gang stalking with light activity. Flying over my head while I'm standing on the opposite side of the street. Flying back and forth while the demon with the thunder thighs and the bad skin is gang stalking at gas stall number 3. And the Latino male is gang stalking at gas stall number 7. And flying over my head again right here while I'm uploading simultaneously. It's currently, by the way, now it is the 7th. It's 12:25 a.m. This is the entity engaged in federal stalking. Federal stalking committed in furtherance of murder. It's criminal surveillance. And the entities committed kidnapping while engaging in surveillance. Kidnapping also committed because I was documenting them. And then they engaged in what is gang stalking me in furtherance of theft of my money and property, and also trying to cover up the criminal acts that the entity has committed, including the Ontario Police, and they're doing it in furtherance of murder. P.O.C. All right, 20 seconds ago, another plane flying right over 320 North Euclid Avenue, stalking. You see his shadow reaching across over here. That's a demon, and that's the fake sun that's rising. Monitoring, stalking with the Ontario International Airport. Again, Ronald Loveridge. Okay. Lighting Sage isn't going to help with the federal prosecution of ARCO. It's employees who are demons. It's patrons who are demons. The corrupt businesses, Leonida Builders Incorporated, again, gang stalking. This is relevant to deportation of gang stalking immigrants and corrupt businesses that are engaging in facilitating terror. This is stalking using the planes. They're engaging in ongoing repeated flight. This is patrolling as demons are doing so in engineered light under the fake sun. This is terrorism by the businesses. This is stalking, criminal monitoring. And then they have the audacity to be making money. Gang stalking immigrants. This is relevant to deportation of the entire immigrant population. 7H72550. ARCO's employees gang stalking. She's a demon. And I'm referencing Sage because this demon is gang stalking, and lighting Sage is not going to change the evidence. All right, lesson 7 MSD 459, there is no spell that's going to make those planes disappear in the body of evidence. It's also not going to cause any sort of silence or forgetfulness in federal court, because I certainly will be there and the prosecution is happening. In fact, the conviction is already manifesting. All right, that's what they've manifested already. P.O.C. ARCO is headquartered in Los Angeles. This is where the fake sun is rising and setting as well. Here you go. 90 seconds later. This is the entity's pattern as well, as they engage in doing U-turns, and then they're engaging what is, again, United Airlines gang stalking. It is currently 7:13 a.m. Crossing path. Fake sun. Okay, this is P.O.C. Remember, I'm standing right here at 12:34 p.m. where this fake sun is over the top of my head, where that airport is stalking right here, which is how you know that Leonida Builders are demons, number 1. And number 2, that that's a corrupt business. Number 3, that they're gang stalking, which is demonic. They're engaging in surveillance with the government as well, that's targeting in a readily identifiable environment. And this is a conviction to a scientific degree, a prosecution proof of criminal conduct and targeting. And the entity engaged in what is stalking me all the way back to 537 North Euclid Avenue, flying over me repeatedly, and is engaged in what is stalking. That's audible noise. That's a stalker. That's a demon. And they're pacing. License 70LD884. This is ongoing serial monitoring. I just want to be clear, Ronald Loveridge and Julia Gu, Alan D. Wapner, and Jim Bowman and Kurt Hagman, and the entirety of that Ontario executive team, they are being publicly exposed for terrorism, and they're going to be removed from position. The airport is a threat to national security. These are murderers that are engaging in psychological torture and stalking, and as they're documented, they engage in more of this obvious targeting. There are no flights that are taking off at this frequency and also at this distance away from the airport, and it's also occurring under what is not a sunrise. This is an artificially engineered environment tailored to me and where I'm at, and this is an entity that's acting with impunity. It's 3 minutes and 4 seconds, and that's the entity that's stalking with planes. This is Leonida that I've been documenting. This is pacing, monitoring with the population. So I'm going to document these license plates, and this is P.O.C. This is the ARCO employee. 6YBT 436. My shadow's reaching all the way over there. This is the same engineer light at nightfall, and this is what the entity's doing with the Ontario Police Department. aerial surveillance, 3HKM203, 8NMG855. And this is an entity that's going to keep the fake sun. Remember, when I'm going to Pomona, California on Route 61, they're all under a fake sun that's remaining on Euclid Avenue over me. All right, and that's the same with the stalkers of United Airlines pacing repeatedly. This is P.O.C. Also recall when I'm at, Economy Inn at 7:15 when I'm on the sidewalk at the mobile gas station at the 60 freeway, and the entity's flying over my head in the fake sun. It's not over at where ARCO is at 434 North Euclid Avenue. It's over me at that location on Euclid Avenue, which is south in that direction. South in that direction. This is how you're recognizing stalking. And the more that you document psychopaths, the more that they engage in it, hence the ongoing frequent flights. And this is not what is published on the website, because the entity's engaged in stalking, and the stalking is committed by the airport itself, which is going to be removed. All right, and the airport board and executive team, they're going to be federally prosecuted. This is P.O.C. It is 7:15 a.m. at 434 North Euclid Avenue under the fake sunrise. These are the demons that are monitoring, and he's monitoring on the venue of the internet. He's monitoring with Leonida builders. This is how demons engage in pettiness. They're going to be deported, though. And the business is going to be shut down for domestic terrorism. He's going out of his way to make a statement upon terrorism with the government. These are the demons that are aware that they're being documented. The demons that are repeatedly flying by plane over and over and over again, parking on the wrong side of the road with the hazards on. Leonida's making a statement while they're crossing path monitoring on their way out, and their demon-possessed co-defendants engage in that. Don't be confused. Chevron, Starbucks, everybody is monitoring. They engage in this pattern of conduct with intent and malice. That's why they go to federal prison. That's P.O.C. 9T UA 417. The airport's being shut down. The police department's being shut down. This is criminal conduct, public corruption, violence, and harassment as an entity. 614-674, and it's happening under a fake sun where psychopaths are targeting. And the entities engaged in that. 8EIP 592 is on video gang stalking with the Ontario police. Engaging in that same level of what is in-your-face targeting and harassment, like you're retaliating or making a statement. The statement is going to be published on the internet to prosecute, and also in federal court. And it's also relevant to what are the deportees, those that are going to be removed from this country. And this is the attitude that they hold toward lawlessness, that they're engaging with the government that's not protecting them. The government is convicting them, incriminating them, and they're going to be removed from positions that they hold right now. This is P.O.C. That's an employee of Chevron. Gang stalking. Engaging in Title 18 federal stalking while this demon, remember, the light activity is occurring in the engineered environment. This is engineered. You're recalling the entity's fake sun is right here as I'm walking out of Chevron, right here at 645 in the airport, that are demons using planes to engage in stalking and patrolling is what you were looking at in that video. This is where the fake sun is also setting in alignment to me at this same location, because this fake sun remains where I remain for the duration of the day, where demons are showing. This is all pacing around me. There are sharks pacing all around. Omnitrans engaging what is driving down this street. There is no bus stop over here, but as the demons are documented, they will add it in order to establish. But as I've already documented on their established routes, they're gang stalking. That's why I can get on route 83, 84, 61, 66, 87, and you're looking at the identical pattern of conduct where this is not going to remain in the window of route 61 into the city of Pomona, but that's what I documented. And I'm remaining at ARCO at 434 North Euclid Avenue, where psychopaths are stalking in commercial planes in concert with the demons on the ground. That's P.O.C. License 7TGF122 5UCR830. License 8MQB725 8UMH340. The Ontario Veterinary Hospital's gang stalking, just like the third party going to that venue in order to stalk in the path with light, is demonstrating as the specific environment is showing the fake sunrise and set. They're monitoring with the entity that's stalking with the airport. License 9GXZ646, 7TLD884, and last night they were gang stalking with the Ontario Police Department. All right, that was the guise of what is, the guise of the elements of monitoring. These are demons engaging in what is monitoring, and it's criminal surveillance by the state. 9JQX766, 7NJL988. The San Bernardino County Housing Authority is gang stalking, just like the San Bernardino San Bernardino Human Resources, the TAD office at 1627 East Holt. That's a function of the state. They're gang stalking. The entity has the fake sun over me at that office in the morning and in the afternoon, over me at the same
address, which is impossible to be the sun, and it's always over me at that venue, and then it's departing from being over the Ontario Town Square, for example, or the OVITT Family Community Library, or ARCO at 434 North Euclid Avenue at the same time. License 8UMH34, yeah, I think I read those. So 8TJ8082. These are everybody that are along. This is relevant positioning. The entire state is monitoring. I'm documenting the demons. I'm documenting the businesses. I'm documenting the people of the state that are engaging in surveillance with the government that's using an airport, with the government that's using the municipality, and using the businesses and using the population who are keeping one person under surveillance and furtherance of murder. Not only is this a failed sacrifice, not only is it publicly occurring, the entities that's going to be prosecuted for that unlawful threat and what is speaking to an ongoing unlawful that unlawful threat is relevant to the obsessive delusion regarding secretly killing anybody, because you're clearly targeting, and you're also targeting in the face of everyone. So now you're targeting to continue targeting because of an ego. You're a psychopath. You're going to be prosecuted under all circumstances. 9EFM749, criminal surveillance under the fake sun that's moving. It's no longer sitting in alignment to ARCO. That's identification of a demon. Those are the psychopaths stalking with light. That's the significance of having the fake sun over me at the ARCO at 12:34 in the afternoon, like I'm documenting, where I'm at now, and the airport is flying miles over here to hover over the parking lot, engage in donuts and U-turns, and then repeatedly, and which is a mental illness exhibited. In the same way you see the demons flying in circles in helicopters, mental illness is made manifest before your eyes. The demon is manifesting before you. They do the same thing when they're engaging in this rapid succession of planes. They're pacing, and you're witnessing the manifestation of mental illness, a demon that's manifesting. 5NKW142, and it's group conduct. So these demons are together engaging in that, and they engage in this fanatical, this maniacal type conduct, this frenzy behavior. As first of all, they're scared, but these are demons these are people who are unstable, and they engage in moral conduct. They engage in more criminal conduct. They engage in more threatening behavior while they are being caught engaging in conduct. So when you're engaged in stealing something and you don't intend to get caught stealing, okay, the entity's rationale is that they will engage in stealing again as you catch them in the midst of the violation, and that is again the misunderstanding, and it's a miscalculation, and it just does not work with regard to a prosecution. But that is the tactic when you're harassing and terrorizing someone. It doesn't work when you are being prosecuted. And so this is where you're looking at the entity being caught engaging in violating the law, targeting proof of the allegations, and then the demon possessed, the psychopath, will engage in more and more and more and more and more and more and more of it. It is not suggesting that it's innocence. It's suggesting that there is a pattern of conduct, and it's also suggesting, because of that pattern, real-time knowledge of what's being documented. That's not a coincidence. It's also, there are no coincidences in the specific environment. Say it with me. There are no coincidences in the specific environment. Not only are they monitoring, they are monitoring with knowledge of that documentation being published, hence monitoring. So you're stalking, and you know that you're being documented stalking. And then they engage in that conduct. You're caught stealing, and so you just engage in more and more stealing. Does that suggest or prove that you're not stealing? Obviously, no. No, it does not. This is the rationale behind stalking with planes and helicopters. This is what the demon possessed do. 7NBS657, 9UHL670. And Saris Regis Group is being prosecuted for terrorism. You are gang stalking, you're targeting, while the government is flying over the sky space of your property, while the government is around your property, which is relevant positioning, while you are in relevant position, sharing in that criminal pattern of conduct. It is also proven through the evidence. That's why the demons that live there and work there are gang stalking and engineer light, filling the parking garage of this apartment building of Saris Regis Group, a gang stalking corrupt business. That's why the entity is engaging in criminal summoning. This is why the entity is engaged in surveillance, stalking, molesting with impossible light. This is why the entity has the fake sun rising and setting at the same location, this apartment building. The fact pattern is already surrounding Saris Regis Group. You're going to be prosecuted while the government is engaging in the criminal pattern of conduct with you. And they're doing it with you while they're flying over your apartment building. 9GNL170, while they are in relevant position to you, you will be reached out and touched by a federal prosecution. 7XPJ132. You can pack up and move and go to your grandma's house in Arizona. You're going to be touched by the long arm of the federal law. You're going to be prosecuted. It is currently, by the way, 8:18 a.m. Those are the demons that are engaged in monitoring. How do you know that? Because the entity has the fake sun already over the Ontario Town Square yesterday, where the entity is maintaining that fake sun, and the demons are stalking by planes, and you're pacing using a leaf blower. License 5ZGT189 is monitoring to that ongoing audible activity, while the fake sun's over me at the same OVITT Family Community Library, where it's over me as I exit at 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the evening. Not only that, the entity has the fake sun over me in Pomona, California. As I'm getting on Route 61, I'm already in Pomona, and the entity tried what is covering up an equally fake sun. Okay? When you cover up the fake sun, this is an entity's unintelligence. It's not as though you're covering up the fake sun, so that means the bright, shining fake sun is going to remain there, or it creates another possibility for the sun to be somewhere else because it's covered up there. And that's all of this chicanery, this nonsense. It's speaking to an entity that is caught stealing and engages in more stealing, and does so wearing a different color coat while they're engaged in the same theft. All right, that's the type of rationale. This is what the entity is doing. It's very unintelligent. All right, but Sirius Regis Group is gang stalking through the people of the state. The property is relevant positioning. The property is the means whereby the entity maintains a crime scene, and it's facilitation. That's what you're hearing. Sirius Regis Group is going to be prosecuted for this. License 76BUD. License 7ATH717. All right, P.O.C. And that's the entity, the videos that you're listening to, the fake sun at the same ARCO. Remember, it's at that ARCO over the top of my head, where it's there at 7 in the morning. It's over the top of my head at that same location in that parking lot at 12:34 in the afternoon. And I refer to that video on YouTube so that you can look at it. This is the evidence of demons, and it's also the evidence of stalking by an entity. Okay, and it's also the evidence that's going to remove the Ontario International Airport that's exposed as a terrorist, a threat to the public, to the lives, to the well-being of American citizens. And it's exposing corruption by those that are deceptive with regard to what is their true purpose and what they're engaging in. And they're calling themselves an Ontario board, calling themselves an executive team, when they're gang stalking with sex offenders, as sex offenders, like license 47399, handicap license plate. They're engaged in stalking. Stalking in the most unheard of and demented way. Airplanes, okay? And the more that you document them engaging in that, a very direct evidence. It's as direct as the entity flying over the top of my head in helicopter for an hour. Very direct. The entity engages in more of it. This is getting to what is the mental illness. And so I'm going to expose that because it's something that you can see. I can describe it very well with words, but it's also very helpful to give you what is evidence that you can see with your eyes. And that's relevant with regard to exposing a government. You should be able to prove beyond a reasonable doubt everything that you are alleging. And I can even beyond a reasonable doubt. So I'm going to expand my playlist because it's relevant to the same mental illness that needs to be known. I'm not just calling names and stating that people, oh, you're crazy. Yes, it's very weird to engage in stalking. That's not normal, but it's beyond not normal, and it's beyond weird, and it's also beyond what is merely criminal. This is relevant to mental illness that a population shares and seeks to harbor from you. These are demons, and they are unstable, mentally unstable. They are together engaging what is living amongst us, engaging in monitoring us, engaging in surveilling us, sitting at the Ontario Town Square, and they're stalking me. And your knowledge of that a whole army of demons are stalking me, is that they sit around on the benches at the square and the fake sun doesn't go anywhere. And when I depart from these demons that are at the square and I get on Route 61 and I go to Pomona and I go to Fontana and I go to Chino, there's no sun that will be sitting over the Ontario Town Square. What are they sitting under while they're all surrounding me with their dogs and their kids and their picnics and the landscaping and the banking and all of the ATM transactions? What are they doing? They're stalking. And they're stalking unbeknownst to you. They are very much engaged in obsessing over you in every area of your life and sexually violating you in ways that you need to be made aware of. This is mental instability, and it is highly illustrative. When you are looking at them stalking, pacing over me by helicopter, when they're engaging in the conduct and pacing with planes, that's when they engage in what is pacing one after another, after another, after another, after another. And I'm going to include those in the playlist because you're witnessing mental illness in a video, okay? So if mental illness had a movie, I'm giving you a playlist of it, okay? That's how you're able to recognize it. And it's going to be used to diagnose the demon-possessed gang stalkers who are going to be both convicted and they will be committed. But that is the behavior of those that are mentally ill. You are already mentally ill. Your mental ill, your mindset, your behavioral health issues behind stalking. This is proven stalking. And you're stalking using planes and helicopters. You're stalking as a corrupt government body. You're stalking as a population. You're stalking under a fake sun. Your mental conditions, your behavioral health is already going to be put at the forefront in the controversy in the first place. Okay? You're talking about the more evidence you give to a federal prosecutor, to a federal court, you are going to be diagnosed and you are going to be committed. When you want to engage in psychopathic pacing, when you want to engage in stalking somebody with impossible light activity, you're going to find yourself in a mental ward. This is an entity that is indeed mentally disturbed. These are serial killers, and they secretly are gratified by sexually violating people, by targeting them and psychologically torturing them, by getting away with murdering them and stealing from them and defaming them and stealing their identity in doing so. This is what the demons are doing. These are psychopaths. This is actual mental illness that I want to be clear, no medical professional is addressing. They're not addressing that because they are a part of that population, by the way. That's what fills California. They're going to medical schools in California that are gang stalking institutions filled with demons, corrupt. Every medical facility, they're engaged in the pattern of conduct. They're engaged in criminal defamation. This is how Jason Fields and Tracy Banks. San Bernardino County, you have what is the entity that's engaging in San Antonio Regional Hospital. These are kidnappers. These are demons that make up these corrupt facilities that are engaged in the pattern of conduct, and they're filled with, the constituents are, the employees are, those that are making up these industries are the demons that are engaging what is abuse of the medical profession. And a lot of propaganda is out in the country regarding, and in the world regarding mental illness. And I want to be clear, mental illness starts with a spirit. And you're looking at what is mental illness that is psychopathic, meaning acting of their own volition, knowledge of right and wrong, knowledge also about what's socially acceptable and unacceptable, knowledge about a level of emotional intelligence such that they know what is expected versus what would cause them to be suspicious, if you will. So this is how you have what is stalking amongst a population where it's assumed that a whole bunch of people are not going to be targeting one person. Who does that? Who does that? And what would make you so important? Those are demons. They're demons, and that's exactly what they're doing, number one. And they are doing what is socially expected of them, what the assumption would be on the surface level. Okay, and I can even understand that because on the surface, I'm checking myself over and over again while I'm documenting. At the outset of my investigation, that's why I started documenting, amongst other reasons. But I was, enlightened about what was happening around me, and you don't just go around making allegations and jumping to conclusions and stuff. I did my own investigation for my own understanding, and it was confirmed over and over and over again. And this is how you get the P.O.C. Okay, this is an entity that is engaging in what people that don't know what they are and what their purpose is, they're feeding off of what is your assumption when you're ignorant about what is actually happening. Those are demon-possessed people that are psychopaths. Okay? They're not actually emotionally intelligent. They're highly manipulative. That's what that is. All right? And they're very malicious. That's what that is. They are not emotionally intelligent. They are devoid of a conscience. You're dealing with dead people. This is the Nephilim. This is how you're able to engage in psychologically torturing somebody and stalking them. You crawl into a helicopter and you're trying to hunt down one person, and you're also enraged and angry because they're documenting you stalking them for no reason at that. It's not like I stole your husband or I stole your wife and then I massacred your children and then I stole all your money and your identity. I didn't do anything to you, and you're stalking me. You're monitoring my vagina. You're following me around from city to city, from state to state, and you're exceedingly hostile while I document, and because I know what you're doing and I have the ability, the spiritual discernment, and the skill set to prove it, to expose you in the spirit and to prosecute you here on earth. The demon-possessed are very hostile about that. That's a psychopath. Understand, behavioral health concerns start with what is the spiritual. It's in the spiritual realm. It's what's wrong with them spiritually. They're demons. That's affecting their behavior, which is manifesting in ways which you can diagnose and you can prosecute. Your pattern of conduct is criminal. Your pattern of conduct is speaking to what is mentally demented. And it's a national security threat because of the type of mental illness. This is not speaking to the absence of the ability to recognize right and wrong, the inability to appreciate that under the law, the inability to recognize that it's undesirable. They are aware of all that. They are gratified by that. They're satiated by that. In fact, they engage in more of it. That's the entity that engages in more and more pacing by helicopter and planes as you document. That's the entity that engages in more radical light and spectacular light activity as you document. So they're very much aware in real time. It motivates them. They're psychopaths. All right? They are gratified by your death. They're gratified by your suffering. This is evil. It's demon possession. And it's a population that walks around with their newborn kids inside of a family community library with absurdly demonic light activity. There is the contrast between the illusion presented, the name of the venue, who you see the elderly checking out books. You see the veterans going in and talking downstairs to the gang stalker on the first floor. You see the demons that are in there teaching English as a second language to those that want to learn. You see them coming in and studying on a communication device. You see them coming in and studying and looking studious, if you will, in a book. They're all demons under the fake sun and engineer light. And that light activity is juxtaposed. You put that picture next to all those deceptive images. It's an illusion. Those are demons. Understand, it's analogous to Satan, who wants to appear as an angel of light. That illusion is totally demolished. I have shown you the truth of what it is and what they're doing and the way in which it appears on the surface and what it is in substance. And that is also a threat. That's a threat to the ordinary targeted individual. The government that is targeting you intends to get away with murdering you. That's why you're going to prison. That right there, that's why you're going to prison. That's an unfair bullying system by the government. Totally unfair, and it's designed to take you out, okay? It's designed to make you look crazy. That doesn't work with the P.O.C. though. In fact, it's the exact opposite. As I document you exuding severe mental instability, you are with that evidence both going to be convicted and you're also going to be mentally examined. You're going to be subject to what are examinations and what is also subject to what is being committed. That's literally how this evidence is relevant. It's probative of just that. Just like any other stalker, you analyze the stalker, you document, and in any case with regard to a stalker, you are always mindful of the mental health and what may be necessary with regard to this type of crime. And I've shown you in the specific environment the evidence of mental illness. I've shown you with the behavioral health in the specific environment the evidence of mental illness. The evidence of mental illness that is shared by a population that do not want you to know about their condition, but they cannot hide it. They also cannot control their obsession with stalking. They're not just stalking, they're obsessed with stalking. They're also delusional because they're keeping the evidence. They know that they're being documented and you're still stalking. So who are you secretly targeting now? Who is imagining that you're stalking them now? And what are you doing with that information? Oh, you're still stalking? There is your mental illness, the evidence of your mental illness. They're going to be both convicted and committed. All right. It is currently 8:30 a.m. and it is Tuesday, October 7th, 2025. And this is the entity stalking from place to place under a fake sun that is sitting at the Ontario Town Square. The same Ontario Town Square where the entity is stalking me by helicopter on Sunday at 11 in the morning when I traveled outside of the city of Pomona on the bus, and then I came to the Ontario Town Square and I'm uploading the evidence of that. And the entity is engaged in what is keeping it stationary, where the city of Ontario is exposing itself as a population of demons, as a population of what are a targeting entity, corrupt businesses, a corrupt population, corrupt society, engaging in this is public corruption exposed, but this is that which is committed in furtherance of murder. It's organized crime while the entity is engaging in criminal surveillance, and it's also demonic while they are engaging in what needs to be understood, spiritually significant dark practices. All right, and that's relevant to the nefarious intent of a government that is monitoring you, monitoring which is demonic. And this becomes legally relevant because it's the government that's engaging in it, and it's relevant to the purpose, the intent behind it in the first place. There is also evidence, collateral harm suffered by myself, and it's also relevant to the motive behind gang stalking in the first place. But there is also evidence that is also relevant to this investigation that I have conducted in the prosecution of the U.S. government, because there is solicitation of murder. by the entity. They're the entity engaging in sex trafficking by the entity that's engaged in attempted murder already. And I want to be clear, the Ontario quote-unquote board, the Ontario quote-unquote executive team, they're going to be prosecuted for all of that. The entity's sharing this criminal system. This is exactly why they're targeting a specific person. You know exactly who I am. They share a purpose. They share a criminal objective, and you're going to be prosecuted for all of it. It is currently 8:32 a.m., and this is P.O.C. All right, Wells Fargo at 240 North Euclid Avenue. This is a sex offense committed by the entity. I'm being molested with, like I stated, it's not their headlights. It doesn't even require their vehicles to be next to me while you're being accosted, while you're being sexually touched with light on your body in places where you wouldn't permit a stalker to touch you with their hands. This is what they do with light. The entity is doing so while they're monitoring me while I'm sitting at the Ontario Town Square. And the license 9NEV 789, sex offender. 9KDF 047, sexual assault and battery as an entity, sex offender. 8VXF 855, assault and battery with engineer light. These are sex offenders. They're surrounding me while I'm being hit with engineer light. That's inexplicable. It's just happening out of nowhere. These are demons. That's the evidence of the Nephilim. This is a homosexual. She's a sex offender. Molestation with engineer light while she is stalking another woman at that. And license 9MHN 922, 7Z13092, both predators, both demons. Okay, the girls and boys of the demon possessed are sex offenders. 9AHP 425, 8XAS 376, 8KZF 411. License 8XWG 999, 9MDX 135, 7MBF 309. License 8DXR, I think that's 748, 8EYX 982, 9SIH 850, 8XWG 999. These are demons. 00786S3, and they're monitoring right now. The red light is a means of stalking in the path, and then they're all stalked with impossible light under the fake sun that's over me. That's why it's over me as I come from Chino and Upland, and the fake sun is over me at the same Wells Fargo. That's 11 o'clock in the morning, and it's already here, right me over here now. These indeed are sex offenders, and they're demons who are mentally ill, molesting with impossible light, stalking together as an entity, engaging in surveillance in the front of Wells Fargo. This is a fat Latino male with a bald head. He's on surveillance cameras. He's monitoring. He's monitoring while engineer light is flying about, monitoring on a communication device, and Wells Fargo is sharing in that criminal conduct and sexual violence. This is P.O.C. The entity is going into Wells Fargo monitoring. The entity is working at Wells Fargo monitoring. The entity is engaging what is this gang stalker with the city of Ontario. Okay, it is criminal conduct. Wells Fargo is not a private company. Wells Fargo is a third party, and I'm going to prosecute them accordingly. This is pacing that they're engaging in under the fake sun that remains over me. These are cockroaches. They're all crawling around under a fake sun, or this is mental illness that's shared by the demon-possessed population. P.O.C. All right, it is currently, what is 8:41 a.m. So while I'm at the wall, I took a picture of the fake sun. It's 8:41 a.m. Remember, the entity has the fake sun over me in Pomona at 2nd Street, where the city of Pomona is stalking by a plane flying over the top of my head. And that fake sun is right there over me in the city of Pomona on 2nd Street, where the city is targeting with planes. The entity is maintaining this environment at the Ontario Town Square at the same time. That's already published on the internet. This is the entity that's engaging in that surveillance with impossible light, which is what is occurring on the venue of the Omnitrans bus as well. Impossible light, both on the outside when they're driving on the roads and the highways, and on the inside when they're when I'm being molested with impossible light on the inside of that bus, where I'm being targeted, gang stalked by the demons that are on the roads and the highways, who I'm documenting now, who know that I'm on the bus. They all know why I'm on the bus, and their knowledge is proven through the maintenance of a supernatural environment. That's how the fake sun is remaining over me on Route 83 into the city of Chino, on Route 84 into the city of Montclair, on Route 66 into the city of Upland, on Route 83 into the city of Ontario. All right, the entity's engaging in that pattern of conduct where the entity's keeping a fake sun sitting over the Ontario Town Square now. And the Ontario Town Square, which is sharing property with the OVITT Family Community Library, where the fake sun is still here after 6 p.m. And that's relevant to the demons that are documented engaging in routine surveillance. That's relevant for their conviction for surveillance and furtherance of murder. Engaging in routine surveillance, coming to the town square to engage in surveillance every single day. Also engaged in kidnapping on September 28, 2025. The entity is engaging in what is criminal surveillance together. While you're monitoring together, you're sharing in those elements, and you're doing so as an airport, you're doing so as the people of the state, you're doing so as that police department, you're doing so as the so-called board and executive team, you're doing so as the gang stalking security company. company, Securitas, that's engaged in monitoring and doing so as one. And I want to be clear, that's the entity that's incriminating the people of the state. Okay, so you will see the same demon. I'm going to go ahead and capture because I already captured her. And he's engaged in wearing the yellow jacket, the orange beanie, engaged in systematic surveillance with the entity that is targeting, now flying not over the apartment building anymore, flying over the Ontario Town Square, where they are targeting, where the fake sun is. The fake sun's not at the parking lot of ARCO anymore. It's at Town Square, where I'm located, and where the city of Pomona is targeting me at the same time, flying a plane over my head on 2nd Avenue, specifically where I'm located, and a fake sun is right there, specifically where I'm located, which is not where this demon is engaging in surveillance at the Ontario Town Square, and he's routinely engaging in that. This is an entity, and while you are documented as an entity routinely providing a means for the government to engage in surveillance, that's federal prison. All right, systematic engagement in gang stalking, routine, systematic, repeated engagement in gang stalking. Upon documentation, you're going to federal prison. Okay, this is what the entities engage in, and they require the people of the state to stalk you in order to keep you under surveillance with the planes and the helicopters as a government, and you're going to prison for that. Okay, so the entities engaging in that, and they're doing so outside of any protected rights. You don't have any exercise of, there is no First Amendment rights that they're exercising at all. You're under the fake sun, you're gang stalking, you are engaging in what is malicious conduct and furtherance of murder. That's not a First Amendment protected right whatsoever. You are directly violating another person's right to be free from what is targeting by the state, which is already the established conspiracy amongst the people and the government that's targeting together. All right, AMR, Ontario Police, gang stalking on the same roads and the highways under the fake sun that remains over me as I come from Pomona, and the fake sun is over me at 11 at the same exact location. Okay, when I come back and the fake sun's not remaining over the town square while it's over me in Pomona, and I come back here and it's remaining over me, and I come from, not Pomona, the Ontario Town Square is where not the Ontario Town Square, the Ontario OVITT Family Community Library when I'm coming from Upland, California, and this is during the 11 a.m. hour, and this is the fake sun that's over me as I return to this location after the fake sun is removed, and that's necessarily the case when it's over me at the Chino Transit Center. What's over that parking lot is not over Ontario Town Square, where this demon is sitting next to me. That's called stalking in the path. That's what's happening inside of the OVITT Family Community Library. You are stalking in the path while all manner of engineer light is spreading across the carpet and flying in the air and maintaining impossible light activity in all of that library, which is a venue, and it's also in the bathroom where sex offenders, just like the demon, routinely, systematically monitoring, outside conspicuous stalking is what that is engaging in what is surveillance, including in bathrooms. Okay, so that's what's relevant. I just want to be clear, the entity is outside of any First Amendment protected rights, and this is why they're going to be prosecuted where they live, where they work, and everywhere that they're traveling. I've shown you the gang stalking on the roads and the highways. That's what Omnitrans is engaging in. That's what I'm documenting in my vehicle in 2024. That's what I'm documenting in Tracy Banks's vehicle in 2022 through 2019. This is what I'm documenting, the fake sun remaining over me while I'm in her presence in her car, the fake sun remaining over me while I'm in the people of the state's presence in the vehicle, public transportation. And when I'm in my car, that fake sun remains over my car, including as I travel outside of the state to Nevada. And Nevada is picking up the same pattern of conduct. This is an entity you're going to prison for systematic, repeated engagement and targeting with the government. The government that's doing so in concert with the people of the state is a legal phrase where you are outside of any independent rights protected under the First Amendment. And they're not exercising any of that. And they're doing so in furtherance of murder, and they're doing so conspicuously and with impunity. And that's all also relevant to federal prison. Okay, that's the demon that engaged in kidnapping, again, on September 28, 2025, monitoring and engaging in kidnapping, speaking as one. So he's engaged in accusing me of harassment when there was no encounter. In fact, he's gang stalking me as an entity, making false allegation, is engaged in what is systematic, the systematic pattern of conduct monitoring with the police. So while the police are here and they're harassing me, he's stalking in the path monitoring to that. The entity is monitoring at all times. These are demons. So while Joseph Valencia and Vivanco and Durham are engaging in a battery and engaging in a lawful search, the Ontario International Airport is stalking by planes. The Ontario police are stalking by helicopter. They are monitoring to that. These are demons. That's spiritually significant. These are demons that are monitoring while they're engaging in physical violence. Okay, this is demonic what they're engaging in. That's demonic. It's also criminal. I'm going to prosecute that, but understand that they're monitoring together, and so is this third party. And he is systematically, as an entity, engaging in surveillance in the same way that the employees at OVITT Family Community Library are systematically engaging in surveillance, in the same way that the employees of Wells Fargo are systematically engaging in surveillance. This is going to be the way in which you're going to prosecute a population for federal group stalking and monitoring. Okay? This is P.O.C. It's 8:48 a.m. But I want to be clear, specifically sharing in the elements of monitoring in my face, this demon that's wearing the orange beanie and the yellow jacket, committing kidnapping as an entity with the Ontario police, gang stalking with the airport and the police on September 28, 2025. And in addition to what is Securitas, the Securitas employee, and he's here gang stalking now, committed kidnapping as an entity. That's federal prison for him. That's federal prison for this demon engaging in surveillance, sitting on the bench, gang stalking with the city. P.O.C. All right, an analytical note again. Run the tape back, rewind it a few minutes back, because the moment that I begin speaking of prison for systematic surveillance by the people of the state and prison for the kidnapping, that's when you hear the entity stalking by plane. And they're doing so, it's literally stalking because they were maintaining the plane activity, as I captured on video and images, over the downtown luxury apartments, because it's relevant to where I was located. I'm at the ARCO, so they're flying south of my person over that apartment building. Now, while I'm at the Ontario Town Square, having moved south, now they're flying over the square, and that's also where the fake sun is. No longer north of me is the sun. It's in alignment to me where I'm at, and that's where the entity is also stalking, literally following from place to place with planes. And pay attention to targeting. The entity begins amplified plane activity, as I refer to federal prison for systematic surveillance, just like the people of the state are doing at Ontario Town Square. I documented this demon on the bike with the neon jacket several times. Systematic surveillance. The entities engaging in that pattern of conduct, as I refer to it, the entity immediately sounds plane activity. Play it back and you will hear that. The entity is incriminating the people of the state. They're going to federal prison while they are targeting with the state. While the state engages in the pattern of conduct, it is incriminating the people of the state. And while the people of the state engage in the pattern of conduct, it is prosecuting the government for targeting. It works, but they're incriminating each other. And that is the implosion of federal group stalking and monitoring, by the way, the implosion of gang stalking. The co-defendants are incriminating and prosecuting each other. But I want you to pay attention to that, because that's exactly what he's doing. He's gang stalking. That's what they are doing. You can exchange faces, different faces. You have the African or Jamaican, whatever, the African-American male or the black male, whatever he is, with the bike that sits at the bench. On the opposite side, you have the Caucasian male with the mustache that sits near the front of the park. You have the African-American female overweight with the dog. You have the demon that works at the library. She likes to sit with the crazy, she's like really bony with crazy hair, and she wears like boats on her feet. She is gang stalking, engaging in surveillance, sitting at the square in the morning. And the entities engaging in what is pacing around through multiple faces, especially as I document. But the entity has those that are systematically engaging in it, like Brightview, systematic surveillance. You're engaging, I documented this and I prosecuted this and I laid out the law already at Alvarado Gardens. The entity that's gang stalking, taking out the garbage every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at Alvarado Gardens, monitoring me in my apartment. Okay, and I documented terrorizing impossible light activity. I'm on the 3rd floor of that apartment in the dark, and white engineer lights spreading across my ceiling, while the demon is in the parking lot, 5 o'clock in the morning while it's still dark, stalking with amplified noise, monitoring me while I'm in my bed, in my bedroom, a private space, and that engineer light inside is the evidence of that. This is prosecuting the entire state of California. These are details that these demons are not even thinking about. They're already prosecuted, okay? And then they're doing so with the LAPD, who engages in ongoing terrorism, as I document the demons that are gang stalking every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. That's systematic surveillance. That's federal prison for those demons that are engaging in what is corrupt business as well, while they're maliciously targeting with the government. That is stalking by helicopter, telling on the demons that are stalking with light under a fake sun that was rising in alignment to my living room window, setting in alignment to my bedroom window, where LAPD is stalking me in the workplace. And demons like Jason Fields and Tracy Banks in the Ontario Police and San Bernardino County would claim that I can't hold on to a job, while I'm both prosecuting them on the job and also facing an unlawful and inhumane threat of terrorism that I'm subject to on the job. I'm going to prosecute for that. That's malice. While you're engaging in psychological torture and you're criminally defaming, that's prison. That's very malicious targeting conduct by the government that thinks that they can say that you're crazy and then they'll adjudicate on that lie and put you away. That's a kidnapping by the entity. That's what this entity has committed. But I want to be clear. Systematic engagement. The demons that were gang stalking, as I'm the property manager at Alvarado Gardens, so I was being targeted as the manager, the property manager at that property, at that venue where I'm under surveillance, and I both live and work there. Every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, the gang stalking company emptying the waste management and emptying the garbages, monitoring and doing so. Smart janitorial. Every Monday and Wednesday, systematically gang stalking me and targeting me in the workplace and in my apartment home, because I live there as well. So they're monitoring my vagina in my bathroom in my apartment while the fake sun remained over me in the workplace, which is also where I lived. And smart janitorial every Monday and Wednesday, gang stalking with LAPD. It's all on the record. And the entity is engaging in monitoring with the vendors that were solicited in order to engage in repairs, and literally the property management, the needs of the property were a means of gang stalking me. So they would manufacture an emergency. Oh, my toilet won't work, and the entity is coming to monitor me. In the same way that the entity is engaging in what is digging up the concrete in front of the OVITT Family Community Library to maintain amplified audible noise and light activity, and when they cover up the fake sun. They can do it under the fake sun as well. It's the same elements of monitoring. That's what they're doing, and it's all manufactured, designed to target the targeted individual. And that's how you know that they're targeting, because at LAPD's engagement in the U.S. government's pattern of conduct included keeping the fake sun over Alvarado Gardens at 1810 North Alvarado and my apartment, 1806 North Alvarado Street, apartment number 6 in particular, from sunrise until sunset. And then the entity is engaged in what is stalking by the LAPD, Los Angeles County Sheriff, flying over the top of my head in the workplace while the fake sun is there. I mean, a body of very rich evidence. It's not going to be forgotten when I'm prosecuting Wells Fargo at 240 North Euclid Avenue. The prosecution is already complete. When I say you're going to prison, that's where you're going. Systematic engagement in targeting with the government. They're going from collecting a welfare check to prison. That's how invested the demon-possessed that can't even pay their rent are in what is a satanic system that they've already lost. There will be no secret sacrifice. You've already lost on that. In addition, it's a real-time public investigation, and I'm prosecuting you in front of everyone on the worldwide internet, and then you're going to be humiliated in court, and I'm going to prosecute you there. And you are going to compensate me for the incalculable harms relevant to and inherent to what is being targeted by a government and a population of mentally ill sex offenders. You're going to be prosecuted for that. That's never before contemplated under federal law, those damages, those federal charges. But it's going to happen. And systematic surveillance, like the demons are doing, engaging in targeting at the OVITT Family Community Library, targeting at Woodside Senior Apartments, targeting at Economy Inn, targeting at the venue where you're conspicuously stalking. They have the same faces. You're not engaging, and I don't. If I were to stop going to the Ontario Town Square and I go somewhere else, I don't know, to sit at Andy's Burgers every day, and hang out there. It's the same legal analysis, because the government has to use the people of the state to keep you under surveillance, okay? And they don't have any warrant or probable cause. And so how are you prosecuting the government? First of all, you're prosecuting the government, period. You're also going to prosecute the government that's acting vicariously. That's those employees, and that's those routine customers, because they're engaging in surveillance, and it's not based on how long they were going there or working there before the targeted individual was kept under surveillance by them. They're engaging in statewide surveillance, and you're going to prison, and this is the entity that's going to make those decisions. You're either going to prison, you're making $17 an hour. You're going to go from that to prison. Is it worth it? Those are the decisions that they're going to make. It's their life. The entity's doing so for the government that will not defend. The government is incriminating them. They're going to prison for it. The entity's engaging in what is the pattern of conduct on behalf of a government that has incriminated them and that has surrounded them with an inevitable demise with regard to the pattern of conduct. The government is already surrounded. And they're going to witness the government being disbanded as a police department, being removed as an airport, all right, being in federal prison, being prosecuted and deported. That's what they're going to witness. The people of the state are the domestic enemies of this country, and you're going to be prosecuted. You're going to be prosecuted, and that's how you are prosecuting that, because that's how that system operates. The government's relying on those that are working there. This is how I'm able to prosecute the gang stalking at Carl's Jr., at Jack in the Box, at Wells Fargo, at Chase Bank, on the freeway, at every single hotel that I'm staying at. The entities engaging in that P.O.C., you're going to be prosecuted. Okay, that's systematic engagement, and the government is requiring their engagement and that participation in that, and you don't have a defense. That's how the pattern of conduct works. And the malicious purpose of that system that they never anticipated was going to be caught, now the prosecutorial purposes are satisfied, and they're going to be prosecuted based on it's commensurate with the malice that is inherent to gang stalking. Now, based on your place of employment, oh yeah, you're being prosecuted because you're engaging in that pattern of conduct. That's how the system is designed. They never intended to be caught for engaging in that. Thinking that, oh, I work here so you can never be prosecuted or caught or even accused of stalking, that's not accurate at all. Like, at all. Not even a little bit. That's a false premises upon which gang stalking has been created and practiced. It's a false premise. You will be prosecuted. Marriott Bonvoy systematically targeting me. Every single Marriott Bonvoy hotel, fake son, stalking by the state. Impossible light activity, ongoing harassment in the hotel room, amplified audible activity, and ongoing harassment by the demons that are then hostile because I'm documenting them because they are indeed engaged in monitoring the evidence. Okay, so this is the P.O.C. Just want to document that. I want you to listen to that because you'll hear the entity stalking with plane the moment that I refer to that, and that's exactly what is already on the record. I've already prosecuted these demons. I came back to Ontario, and the case is already complete. The LAPD, Karen Base, Robert Luna, the city of Los Angeles, they underscored and punctuated a complete prosecution. And none of that evidence is obsolete or irrelevant. Just because I went to Chino and Upland and Montclair and Pomona, that is under no circumstances stating that that was something that needed to be done in order to make sure that the pattern of conduct is still happening outside of Ontario. We know that Ontario, but we don't know, that's not true. The pattern of conduct has been a matter of evidence, a study, and it's scientifically relevant evidence proving that in the environment that is engineered, that surrounds all of us, surveillance is underway, and I've been maintaining an ongoing investigation and subject to a ceaseless pattern of conduct, which is a threat to my life posed by the government, and it is dated since 2018. All I did was, in 2025, over the past week, I went through these other cities to show you the pattern of conduct has been the pattern of conduct that I documented on the record years ago, and I've been subject to targeting by the entire state of California. It's currently 9 a.m. As you can hear, the fake sun is over the Ontario Police Department at 9:16 a.m. The fake sun is over the Ontario Police Department at 8:38 a.m. The entity is keeping the fake sun over the Fontana Police Department at 9:30 a.m. in Fontana, California. The entity is keeping the fake sun over the Fontana Lewis Library at 9:59 a.m. There is no natural environment where that's coexisting. It's keeping it over the Ontario Town Square, and then it's going to move east to be back over me at the OVITT Family Community Library entrance. It is west of the entrance right now, adjacent to the clock at the Ontario Town Square. It's going to move as I move to be over the OVITT Family Community Library, where you already know, based on when I exited on Sunday, that it's still there at 4 p.m. That's the pattern of conduct. All of the evidence remains relevant. There's not an expiration date and it doesn't change, and there's not a reasonable basis to question it either. It is scientifically relevant and it is also scientifically precise. And you can go into even further detail regarding the ecological addresses, latitude and longitude, and what's going on in the rest of the country with regard to assessing what it is that I have exposed. And it is undeniable. You cannot disregard it. It is currently, by the way, 9:02 a.m. This is P.O.C.
All right, it is 9:16 a.m. and this is the placement of the fake sun at the Ontario Town Square, the same Ontario Town Square where I'm standing right there at the walkway, and this is the OVITT Family Community Library right over here. It's just beyond the trees. Let me just zoom in a little bit so you can see. In fact, I'm going to go down here because I'm going to show you something. First of all, I'm going to move, and the fake sun's going to move with me. This is stalking as a popular. This is a spiritual condition that's being exposed. These are demons that are under a whole light source, a fake sun, as it moves from this side of the clock to the opposite side of the clock. This is the same location where I'm at, where I'm coming from the city of Upland after going through Montclair, Chino, etc. And I'm standing right here where these two little black statue things are. Remember, at 1 o'clock, and I'm walking to the OVITT Family Community Library because that's where this is right here. And at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, the entity has the fake sun over me at this same address where it is at 9:16 a.m. I'm going through multiple bodies of examples of evidence of stalking right now because at 9:16 a.m. the entity has this fake sun over me in the city of Fontana. The Fontana Lewis Library. I didn't even get on Route 61 and go to Fontana today. I only came on the opposite side of this apartment building, the downtown luxury apartments, where the demons are flying commercial planes doing U-turns, stalking,
where I'm located, which is proven through a fake sun that has remained on the same street over me on the opposite side of this same building as I'm documenting as of 7 o'clock in the morning. Not only is this not over the Fontana Lewis Library, well, not over the Fontanas, but over the Fontana Police Department. The entity is keeping the fake sign over the Ontario Town Square. The entity is keeping the fake sign at the Ontario Town Square after I am still here as I come from different cities. I didn't go anywhere today. This is the same Euclid Avenue. I walked literally feet down the street, the opposite side of this apartment building, and the fake sun is still over me. And the entity is keeping the fake sun over me where I'm located at 1 o'clock in the afternoon at this same entrance where the fake sun is here at 9, and it's still over me at this entrance, the OVITT Family Community Library. And I'm also reminding you about the entity that has this fake sun over me at this same venue after 6 p.m. This same location. This is where you're recognizing the context of what is criminal summoning by Securitas, making allegations that are manufactured, also proven by my evidence of the absence of any harassment. In fact, I'm subject to harassment, and he's engaged in criminal monitoring. On the job wearing a uniform is the prosecution of that company that's engaged in public corruption. This is where the entity is stalking with planes. This is where the entity committed a kidnapping upon malicious assertions, not just false, but malicious, because they're keeping me under surveillance when they're making up that I'm harassing someone. And by the way, you will document the government that's conspiring your murder by gang stalking you, and it is not harassment. First of all, it's a First Amendment speech right, and it's a matter of your protection. And the government doesn't have any protections under the law when it's engaging in criminal activity. All right, I just want to document that. This is P.O.C. It's currently 9:19 a.m. This is, again, the fake sun that is not in a natural environment over the Fontana Police Department at the same time. And this is the same address where the fake sun is over me. I'm standing right here at 1 o'clock in the afternoon where I'm showing you the evidence of gang stalking by a population. All right, 224 North Euclid Avenue. This is P.O.C. It is currently 9:20 a.m. That's documentation on the roads and the highways while I'm subject to surveillance, and a fake sun remains over me as I go to the city of Fontana on Omnitrans, as I go to the city of Pomona via Omnitrans, as I go to the city of Chino and Montclair and Upland via Omnitrans, and I'm subject to the pattern of conduct. This is federal stalking on the roads and the highways. It's surveillance. It's not traffic in California. They're gang stalking. All right, and demons have no business driving ambulances or being in the medical field. They're psychopaths that are engaging in psychological torture in the medical practice to facilitate harming people, especially the targeted individual that they kidnap. This is P.O.C. It is 9:20 a.m. These are the demons under the fake sun. Very hostile as I sing praises to Christ Jesus, who's prosecuting all of them. These are demons keeping a vagina under surveillance in the bathroom, and they're going to continuously do so as a population. 215 E.C. Street is a terrorist committing kidnapping with the same demons that are gang stalking. The employees are already inside monitoring with the city of Ontario, and the terrorists go inside and maintain surveillance inside of the venue. Remember yesterday as I go to the back of the library, then the fake sun jumps all the way to the back of the library, right where the Page One Cafe is, and it's over the back portion. No, that's the entity. They're all demons that are stalking. That's not the sun, and it's not the sun that's still here as I walk out, and it's here at 4, and the demons are pacing around, and this is the same Euclid Avenue where it's setting. This is P.O.C. All right, and they're very hostile as puppets of Satan that have been exposed. This is the Nephilim engaging in surveillance and what has nothing to do with a family or a community. They're a community of demons. This is P.O.C. All right, praise God. Christ Jesus always wins. This is P.O.C.
You're looking at a guise of surveillance outside of the ladies' restroom by the City of Ontario upon entrance under the fake sun at 215 E.C. Street. Those are sex offenders sharing in what is surveilling the bathroom as I am entering amongst demons that are engaging in gang stalking inside of a building, which is a facilitating venue. That's an egregiously violent sex offense, and it's a sexually violent threat as well. You will see relevant positioning, repairing the fountain. The water fountain is relevant positioning, maintaining presence. And you also need to know that those are demons, and they're keeping your genitalia under surveillance, monitoring you with light and noise as you are engaged in private activity in a private space, which is a sexually perverted aspect of monitoring demons. And that is entirely illegitimate government conduct. Highly illegitimate interests. They have no interest in monitoring your genitalia, monitoring you, and they shouldn't be monitoring, period, but then they're monitoring your genitalia. That's what you need to know. Okay, that's a sex offender on a whole other level, never before contemplated under federal law, because it's never been proven that the government is monitoring or what monitoring is. They're engaged in surveillance with the OVITT Family Community Library. They're all sex offenders. This is P.O.C. All right, the entity maintaining the sound of like steam releasing. It's just noise in the bathroom pursuant to what is monitoring that's underway in a bathroom, which is a sex offense committed by a government. And it's going by the name of OVITT Family Community Library, and also the evidence of that is the engineered light that's inside of the library and in the bathroom. That's not light that's caused by the artificial lights in here. Everybody sitting outside of this bathroom are together corporately monitoring my vagina. That's the sexually traumatizing harms, incalculable. You cannot quantify that. This is relevant to the entity that also is engaged in gang stalking you and monitoring everything you're doing on your devices. They're stalking you as a population as I'm documenting the terrorism underway every day and every night upon entrance, upon traveling to and from the OVITT Family Community Library. It's all concentrated inside of this venue. The entity's maintaining noise and engineered light, and the fake sun is over this library, and it remains after 6 p.m., which I've also documented. That's the entity that's monitoring genitalia. Obsessive, sexually perverted, sexually motivated, and it's also predatory, and it's also criminal. That's monitoring. Okay, the entities are monitoring with Julia Gu, Alan D. WAPNER, Ronald Leverage, Jim Bowman, and Kurt Hagman are keeping my vagina under surveillance, and they're going to be prosecuted and specifically removed from the positions that they hold and referred to accurately, not as an airport board, but as domestic terrorists and violent sex offenders engaging and facilitating the perpetual sex offense amongst a population of domestic terrorists who are sex offenders as well. It's the same analysis regarding the gang stalking by the Ontario Police Department, monitoring as the City of Ontario while I'm subject to the P.O.C. in a bathroom. And the entity acts with impunity, meaning continuously engages in that like a demon does in planes, more and more and more planes as you document. That is very foolish to engage in monitoring my vagina with that same impunity, but it's going on the criminal records of sex offenders by name. Okay, it is currently 10:12 a.m. Every employee is engaging in this sex offense. This is P.O.C. It is currently 10:12 a.m. Remember, the entity has the fake sun over me when I'm getting off of Route 66 the other day in Upland on Foothill at the U.S. Bank. And the entity has the fake sun over the Ontario OVITT Family Community Library, just like it does every day, which was the significance of capturing that video on Route 66 on Foothill Boulevard at that moment in time. That's P.O.C. Okay, the entity is maintaining through what is solid walls and tiles, as though you can hear the conversation through the walls, everything that you're doing. Loud booming also is a method of noise creation, and then the demons themselves coming in and out of the bathroom are stalking in the path while noise is maintained. This is what they're doing under a fake sun, maintaining noise, amplified plane, amplified train, amplified all manner of noise activity, which is pursuant to monitoring. The concentration is my genitalia and my devices. No warrant or probable cause, no legitimate interest under both circumstances, and certainly with regard to exposing the sex offender that is demon possessed. This is the pedophile, that is the state of California. You need to understand that. This is the system of pedophiles that are engaging in monitoring me in a bathroom. This is what you're doing to American citizens, and it's going under company names. It's going under what are government departments engaging in this criminal system, and it's relevant to federal stalking under Title 18. This is P.O.C. It's 10:13 a.m.
Okay, I want to document, it's 2:41 p.m. I want to document state facilitating venue, OVITT Family Community Library. This is a facilitating venue, a state facilitating venue at the City of Ontario that's engaged in every aspect regarding the pattern of conduct has been established, including the government's pattern of stalking by planes and helicopters at the venue, the fake sun rising and setting at the venue, engineer light inside of the venue, all manner of ridiculous circus light activity, while the entity is engaged in also kidnapping as an entity pursuant to the intent to obstruct justice, while they are monitoring the employees and patrons alike, fully established as demons as well, in doing so, and sex offenders engaging in terrorism and psychological torture. So this is already established. What I'm documenting now and what I've been maintaining a stream of evidence of on my device, and also on the venue's device, where you're looking at the same demons engaging in surveillance in the library all day long, like looking at a book and looking at a device when they're monitoring, and doing so when you're sitting in engineer light reading, you're sitting in engineer light walking, speaking. You're doing so while the entity is maintaining amplified noise, which is demonic, which is relevant to terrorism, and this is also
mental illness by the malicious entity that are demons that are fully exposed. They're delusional while they're gang stalking. I'm going to prosecute the city of Ontario, and I'm going to prosecute this entity. They're engaging in monitoring online, and they're doing so with regard to blocking a Facebook page creation, a Facebook page that I don't have. So I'm creating one, and the entity is engaged in blocking the creation of such a Facebook page. So I'm being given what I took screenshots of, and I'll upload it because it's a federal offense. I'm going to prosecute. They both engage in kidnapping and alleging that I'm a child molester, while at the same time blocking what is evidence against them, conspiring in real time, murder, and trying to block that evidence. This is the absurdity of that conduct. This is federal prison. This is what American citizens are subject to, while they want to keep you living in a bubble so that they can accomplish sacrificing you. You're going to prison for this. The entities engaging in what is surveillance on the internet, though. That's what you're learning. And the entities are a bunch of demons or psychopaths sitting around in cubicles around me, just stalking, okay? And that's how much of a concern I am, because they keep a fake sun over me while they are doing nothing other than stalking. So all of the resources of the city of Ontario are concentrated on this, and also with keeping it off the internet. So I want to be clear, the entity on Facebook, which is a facilitating video surveillance, is underway on the internet. Surveillance is underway by the city of Ontario. The city of Ontario is engaging in surveillance online to obstruct justice that the city of Ontario is going to pay the penalty for and serve the penalties for, and that includes the population, that includes the government departments, that includes facilitating venues like OVITT Family Community Library. So on Facebook, the entity is giving me blockages analogous to what I've already shown the entity is doing on Google, another facilitating venue where the entity is systematically rendering my podcasts, which are published, as private, removing them off of the RSS feed so that it doesn't automatically generate. That's a product of surveillance on the internet, not my doing. I'm not removing my podcast after I publish it, and I'm also not making them private. I'm also not removing it from that RSS feed so it doesn't automatically upload. This is the entity that's engaging in what is monitoring the evidence against it. This is the entity that's stalking day and night in helicopters, doing so, engaging in terrorism, harassment, doing so while you're looking at the impunity, while they're stalking in planes and whatnot. This psychopathic behavior is shared with ongoing surveillance on the internet and on Facebook, where the entity is engaged in obstruction of justice. You have what are terrorists that are remaining inside of the venue. And remember, they're acting with the terrorists that are outside in the sky space, engaging in surveillance, aware of what it is that I'm creating on the internet. And the demons around are cooperatively acting with the demons all outside, because it is a massive act, corporate act, with regard to keeping me under surveillance. And the entity has already lost in this endeavor that was supposed to remain a secret. So I'm going to prosecute based on the ongoing criminal acts committed by this entity that's engaging in the same criminal pattern of conduct while engaging in what are tactics that you need to become aware of: surveillance. Massive surveillance of your person, of everywhere that you're going at all times, in private spaces and on the internet and your communication devices. The entity is on Facebook. I'm faced with what are screens that say, as I'm navigating on my Facebook page, creating like the thumbnail or the display, my name and whatnot, that you're using the account in an unfit manner or in a suspicious manner. Those are the demons that would be having access to your passwords. That's them. The entity that's engaging in what is use of your account while they're monitoring it. And the entity also gives you what are superficial means of blocking, like requesting a phone number on Google when you don't need a phone number to create a Google account. And then once you enter that phone number, it's stating that you entered the phone number too many times, you've used it too many times, and then that's how you're blocked from creating a Google account. And you being ignorant about being under surveillance on the internet, think that you just can't create a Google account, or that there's something wrong, or that you need to get your internet fixed, or that you need to call Spectrum because there's something wrong with your connection. And it's none of that. It's ongoing harassment online pursuant to surveillance, which is criminal, and it's also serving a criminal purpose of obstruction, where the city of Ontario and the state of California and OVITT Family Community Library is engaging in it. It is happening on OVITT Family Community Library's laptop, the Pharaoh's Wi-Fi network. PHAROS is the Wi-Fi network that the laptop is connected to. This is relevant to internet controlled by the City of Ontario. Also, the Ontario Wi-Fi, the Wi-Fi that I'm accessing on my device, successfully creating the Facebook account after capturing what is the attempt to block my creation. As soon as I create it, instead of sending me like a code to confirm your email, the entity states, I haven't even used it yet. I haven't even created it yet, and it's stating, oh, you're using your account in I'm paraphrasing, in an unfit manner, and we're going to block your account. You're not going to be able to appeal this, and it's going to be disabled, and it's going to be removed altogether after 180 days. This is the entity that's stopping interfering with, first of all, First Amendment right, freedom of speech. This is under all circumstances absurd, and these are the terrorists that are gang stalking, stalking in the bathroom, engaging in molestation, harassment, and terrorism, planes and helicopters, marching in on surveillance cameras, engaging in criminal conduct in plain view, and they're going to be prosecuted for it, and they're also going to be committed. This is mental illness of an entity that's engaging in criminal conduct in this plain manner. They're doing it on the surveillance cameras, which I'm going to prosecute with. They're doing it pursuant to a work schedule that I'm going to prosecute with. They're doing it with regard to patronage at the venue, which I'm going to prosecute with. They're doing it with regard to use of their devices, which I'm going to prosecute with. The entities engaging in this while they are seeking to accomplish harming me. Engage in all manner of the pattern of conduct, and then you're engaging in this chicanery on the internet. It's relevant to obstruction of justice, which is committed because you want to continue conspiring murder. Okay, these are the demons that are engaging in that. The terrorism follows to the OVITT Family Community Library, maintained inside of the OVITT Family Community Library, and continues as I exit the OVITT Family Community Library. This is indeed the P.O.C. It's 2:49 p.m. on the first floor. Where the gang stalkers are acting in concert with the employees, including on the venue of the internet. The entities engaging in, that's audible noise while I'm now navigating on the laptop. These are the demons that are engaging in what is ongoing psychopathic conduct, and it's relevant to the psychopaths that are stalking in planes and helicopters. It's the same spirit, and it's the same criminal conduct. These are the little minions that pace around stalking on the grounds around me on behalf of the government, and that's why it's going to be prosecuted, and that's why they go to prison as well. Okay, this is P.O.C. The entities engaging in this, and I took screenshots and pictures of it. And this is also the entity that has engaged in all manner of that P.O.C. The history regarding this venue in particular is already on the record, and all of this is relevant to when they are prosecuted, when you're going to prison, damages, sentencing, all of that. This is OVITT family at 215 E.C. Street, and the fake sun is remaining over the entrance like I documented yesterday evening. It is currently 2:50 p.m. This is P.O.C. on Facebook, which is a facilitating venue. And there's a fake friend, and that's the demon. Bring me inside of the library, know exactly where I'm at, and stalking in the back. They also know regarding my vagina, what's going on in the bathroom, and that's the entity that's engaging in surveillance. Okay? This is a fake friend. The fake friend was 9 o'clock in the morning. 9 o'clock in the morning, it was while I was documenting the angry demon. Praise the Christ Jesus. Who is the reason for over Satan. Driving in commercial vehicles, driving in their own vehicles, 9 p.m. 3781, and also right across the curb. 781 is the last year. 14584L2. The business is monitoring my vagina. It's a sex offender, and so is the demon operating that business, that commercial vehicle. Going into facilitating venue, downtown luxury apartments where the Ontario International Airport were flying donuts over it repeatedly this morning while I was on this side of that apartment building. 7 o'clock in the morning, that parking lot right there, where the sun will not be at the same location. And this is the Ontario Town Square, where I'm right here at the same location. Community Library, it's 550. Community keeping my vagina under surveillance. And I'm taking pictures of surveillance. This is surveillance. Sun that was at the Fontana Lewis Library. And this is not sun like that's going to result from the sun being Ontario, while remaining outside of the Fontana Lewis Library on Spring Street. Neither is this sun that's going to result from the sun being what is outside of that Spring Street Library. This is a fake sun on Euclid Avenue, and these are cockroaches. These are cockroaches. They're engaging what is driving in light. On the inside, they're walking in. This is monitoring. And keeping going to tell you under surveillance. That's what you need to know about. Not only are they demons, not only are they engaging in criminal surveillance, and they're doing so in the name of the government. Demons like Julia Gu, Alan D. WAPNER, engaging in facilitating sexual violence as an entity. The impunity that you're witnessing, this is by government officials. This is by demons that call themselves Ontario Airport Board. Those sex offenders are being removed and prosecuted. APHD 362 is a stalker and is a sex offender. All right? The entities engaging in what is monitoring through a population. Everybody's just chasing under the fake sun. This is how you're being monitored. 7UMN 71. Walking in impossible light. Demons.
engaging in sexual violence.
Way of life. Calling itself a family community library. Sunlight is not going to reach
Structure. Remain here.
9 hours and then stretch into the depth. These are demons pacing in and out. You see that light swiping? That's a demon possessed person. That's a psychopath keeping my vagina under surveillance. Predators.
Conscience. And they
To little demons, demonic beings, okay, that are monitoring as well. P.O.C. This is public corruption 517 hearing. Okay, you look.
thinking twice about keeping your genitalia under surveillance, especially while you document it, because that's what this is. P.O.C. Impossible light swiping inside. There's my shadow. And this is a sex offense. It's also a sex offense because OVITT is keeping my vagina under surveillance. And this demon is being removed from office. This demon's being removed. This demon's being removed. This demon's being removed. And this demon's being removed. And I'm going to prosecute the Ontario Airport Board. This is a demon, a terrorist, a sex offender, and so is this one. And the entity is going to be prosecuted for the ongoing surveillance that I'm subject to and that I'm exposing. And it is shared by multiple cities, municipalities, if you will. The entity is engaged in this as a population. This is P.O.C. It's 5:18 p.m. The OVITT Family Community Library.
License 8C0R102. Engaging in the sex offense with the City of Ontario that's simultaneously stalking with a plane as a demon molests me with light at F Street and Euclid. That's bucket, crab, and crawfish sexually violating. All those demons are sitting around eating seafood, monitoring me, sharing in a sex offense. So is El Pescador. So is the shopping plaza, W.S.S shoes, and the gym and the Pizza Hut. They're all monitoring. They're all sitting around monitoring. So is the ARCO and the Chevron and Starbucks. They're all monitoring while the entity is stalking with a plane and a demon is molesting me with light, targeting me on the street where the entire entity of demons are stalking me as I'm walking to 537 North Euclid Avenue. It's currently 8:57 p.m. That's a sex offense committed by the entity in concert with the government that's stalking in planes. P.O.C.
This is P.O.C. This is a sex offense, and this is specifically stalking, and I'll tell you why. The fake moon is directly over me, and this is not the natural environment. This entity is doing the same thing with the fake sun that also rises in alignment to me when I wake up right here in the morning. And this is all engineer light. I'm being molested, and the entity is going to be prosecuted as a sex offender. They're all stalking, and that's not going to come from your headlights. And again, that's the Iglesia, where I documented gang stalking immigrants. The entity, I believe 220 F Street, upside F Street and Lemon, they're engaged in routine sexual violence, targeting with the city that's engaging in what is stalking me over here with planes and helicopters. And the demons that are engaging in sexual violence are going to be prosecuted as sex offenders as an entity, and it includes the gang stalking immigrant population. And I documented them specifically at this venue over here on F Street, engaging what is monitoring me with the Ontario Police Department. And the entities engaging in the perpetual sex offense while they're driving through engineer light. That's the creation of light activity. And this is the impossible light that's over here. There's no vehicles over here. This is absolutely demonic, and this is going to be prosecution of terrorism. This is surveillance. That's stalking. This is stalking. Routine stalking. Those are not headlights. This is what they're doing at the downtown Ontario luxury apartments, as I documented them stalking and molesting me like sex offenders stalking demons while they're on the opposite side of the street, turning onto Euclid Avenue, targeting me. That's impossible light activity, just like the fake sun all day long is what is impossible light activity as well. Driving under it, walking under it, making any noise under it. They're doing it under what is not even the sun. And these are all demons stalking together. Their headlights don't cause this light activity. They're demons that are engaging what is present in an engineered environment. And this sex offender's license plate is acting on behalf of the government. That's audible noise and engineer light monitoring together. These are all demons monitoring together, and I'm going to prosecute for this sex offense. It's a perpetual sex offense. They also keep my vagina under surveillance in the bathroom. This is why they keep the fake sun over the OVITT Family Community Library, monitoring my vagina and engineer light while they're stalking. License plate. Don't be bashful, say 9ABR743. I'm going to prosecute. That's a sex offender. That's a domestic terrorist, keeping me under surveillance in furtherance of murder. Understand why they're stalking with light, which is terrorizing. It's inexplicable. It's impossible to naturally occur. And it's the product of targeting. It is the evidence that you are stalking me, someone specifically with knowledge of me. You're not a stranger.
The engineered light, the fake moon, the fake sun is their evidence that they are engaging in specific crime of stalking. They're not strangers, and they're psychopaths while they feign being strangers, and they're engaging in the pattern of conduct. P.O.C. It's currently 9:13 p.m. That's the prosecution of the state of California. One demon after another repeating the same criminal pattern of conduct. And those immigrants at that iglesia, that fake iglesia, El Diablo, they're going to be deported. And I documented them gang stalking with the Ontario police. They're going to be deported. The entity engaging what is gang stalking with all of these venues. It's not just them, but they're pointing out to why you're going to be deporting the immigrants throughout the state of California, and particularly those on F Street that are gang stalking, sitting outside a relevant position of the venue. I don't care if none of them are sitting there now. It's a facilitating venue. They're engaging in targeting me over there. That's psychopathic conduct. Mental illness is the product of what is stalking with light. Those are psychopaths. And they're engaging while they're monitoring. Walking in engineered light, that's a psychopath. That's gang stalking. These are demons acting together. This is P.O.C. It's 9:13 p.m. This is all state action, by the way. This is all state action. And you're going to prosecute, but these are demons. This is the Nephilim. P.O.C. Alrighty, that's the entity stalking by plane. And the impossible light. They are indeed targeting together. And this is the entity's response. These are the immigrants' response. This is the government's response. This is the people of the state's response. This is the defendant's response. This is why you capture it, because this is what you're going to think about when you're in court prosecuting. And the entity that's never been prosecuted as a terrorist and has no idea how that's going to unfold and how it's going to affect them, when they experience it, you're not going to change what the law requires, what